at the beginning of last year of 2022, I went on a sabbatical. So not a lot of people know about this. And Jessica, this is very much as a thank you to you. I had always had this dream, this goal of like one day going off into the wilderness or wherever and just disappearing for a month straight, cutting off from just society, internet, social media, and bringing all the books that we buy on Amazon that we don't always read immediately, and then bringing a journal and just being there and just being at peace. And I was fortunate to be able to do that. I learned a lot through that experience. I was able to really focus on my health. I was able to focus on just journaling and all, reading and just really thinking, which kind of set out the goals for the start of last year. While I was on that sabbatical, I kind of laid out the goals for the next 3 to 5 years over CRISP. And a lot of the things that we would go on to do, even like the big summit that we did last year at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, came as a result of certain decisions that I made while I was on the sabbatical. But then you get back from the sabbatical, and as restored as you are, you get right back into what you were doing, and the speed and the velocity of what you've got going on, and the phone's ringing, you had emails and Slacks and everything coming in, and all that progress that you make, whether you go on vacation or whether you go on a month-long sabbatical, like all that progress was undone. So the thought at the end of last year was like, well, what if I didn't have to go on a sabbatical every 10 years to restore myself? What if I could just live in a state of existence where, one, I didn't have to go on a sabbatical, but I could have the sabbatical life all the time? Now, again, this is going to be a very unrelatable podcast, and there's going to be people that are listening. They're going to say, this must be nice. And, I can't do that. And it sounds like very privileged. And it is. Without a doubt, it is. And over the last 10, 11 years, us working 24/7, 365, coming in every single weekend, coming in every single holiday, has enabled us to be able to do things today that we previously could not do. 100%, no question. And by the way, everything I'm about to talk about does not work if you don't have a great team in place, if you don't have great leaders in place, and if you don't have people that are capable of being able to lead and grow your organization day in and day out. You can't just disappear, come back, and expect for the organization to grow. Okay, that's kind of the caveat. So to answer your question in the most long-winded way, I made the decision that at the end of last year, we were laying out certain non-negotiables that, number one, I didn't want to take any meetings until noon. So I wanted to be able to come in and, my first meetings, anything that I needed to do would be at noon, which meant that from the morning when I would wake up until noon, that would be time for me. And that could be time for things like, I don't really love the term self-care, but things relating to health, fitness, taking our daughter to school, like all the things that I wanted to be able to do and focus on myself, and then, dealing with everything at the office. So that was number one. Also, being able to block out that time meant that we would give certain people levels of autonomy and allow, our leaders to be able to function autonomously. Basically, we fast forward now 6 months of doing this. First, I felt tremendously guilty. How could I come in at this hour, right? I was used to coming in, like being the first one in. You come in, it's like 7 a.m. Now you're coming in at noon. So your work week in some ways is shorter because I would still finish around like 6 o'clock. But we fast forward 6 months, we had our best first quarter, we had our best second quarter in the history of the company. We're doing better than ever, and it's amazing. So there's a lot of things that I attribute that to. Just getting out of the way is one. Having great leaders in place is another thing, but also my competency, my level of decision-making has improved significantly because I spent a lot of time reading, thinking, journaling, just really being able to give myself time to think about kind of the vision of the organization, the strategy behind the organization, because when you really look at what are the most impactful things that you can do as a leader, it comes back to your decisions and the quality and the caliber of the decisions you're able to make. You make the right decisions, you move the organization forward. You make the wrong decisions, even if they're micro decisions. We make dozens, if not hundreds of decisions a day, and they're all weighted differently. And there's always going to be key decisions you make every single year, whether you hire somebody, whether you fire somebody, whether you invest in an initiative, whether you don't invest in an initiative, whatever that decision might be, that if you make the right decision, it moves you forward exponentially. And if you make the wrong decision, sometimes don't even realize it at the time, but a series of wrong decisions keeps you stuck or moves you backwards. So if you look at how can I set myself up as a leader to make the best decisions possible, it requires you to be in a certain state where you're refreshed mentally, where you're focused, you're restored, you're feeling good, you've got clarity, you've got confidence. And if you can protect those things, you can be a much, much better leader. So that's what I've seen play out over the last 6 months. It's been absolutely amazing. I understand it's also very much a privilege to be able to do these things, but I would advocate that if you're a leader listening to this, what could be more important than you being able to take care of yourself mentally and physically and make the best decisions for your organization to set everybody up for success?